Bullying, being victimized, depression, and anxiety represent expressions of fundamental concerns for children and individuals. Do I matter? Am I safe? People or children become depressed when they don't feel that they matter. There's hopelessness, helplessness, and feeling unimportant to others. People or children become anxious when they feel they cannot take care of themselves, especially if they cannot protect themselves from bad things or bad people. Many children or people experience being teased, victimized, or bullied at some point in their lives. Some manage the stress and challenges relatively well and become survivors. Being bullied may become stressful but formative experiences that build psychic and relationship skills and strengths. Some children, however, are scarred and carried into adulthood, devastated self-esteem and vulnerability to being abused, bullied, or exploited in future relationships. The problems include unpopularity, social isolation, a negative view of school, somatization, internalization of negative views of oneself. There are many causes, including overly close parental relationships, overprotectiveness, a lack of coping skills, and inexperience with conflict resolution. Some characteristics to look for are small physical size, youth sensitivity, anxious vulnerability, fearfulness, and non-conflict submissiveness. Why do some children become the perpetual victims of bullies throughout childhood, and as adults, victims of abusive intimate partners, such as domestic violence, and abusive bosses, such as workplace bullying? They develop anxious vulnerability. With the experience of being victimized, they anticipate they cannot survive a bully, and their only hope is to see the bully early and well before he or she is close enough to attack. Normal sensitivity becomes hypersensitivity, and normal vigilance becomes hypervigilance. Hypersensitive and hypervigilant behavior backfires as it becomes a signal of vulnerability to a predatory bully who is looking for the easiest victim. When a child or an adult is bullied and begins to feel like a victim, depression and anxiety become a part of life, sometimes for a short period, but sometimes for a lifetime. The child experiences advice about how to avoid bullying as meaning it is his or her fault that he or she is being bullied if you're not careful. Experiences being protected or rescued as essential because of seeing oneself as helpless without others' intervention. Believes that there is little or nothing that he or she can do to prevent being bullied, abused, or exploited. Believes that he or she is inherently flawed and deserves to be bullied, abused, or exploited, or is shamed because of being unable to protect him or herself. It is important for adults, especially parents, but including teachers and therapists, to be able to do 4 things. 1, support children not to become victims, but powerful individuals and community members. 2, support children not to become bullies, but individuals with appropriate strategies and behaviors for mastery and self-esteem in relationships and communities. 3, protect and empower children who are or have been victimized by bullies. 4, intervene, set boundaries, and redirect children who bully. To do all these things, adults need to understand the dynamics of bullying, including male typical versus female typical bullying. In bullying, there's repetition, aggression, negative intent, and a power difference. The behavior involves verbalization to and verbalization about. In male socialization, bullying is hierarchical. Female socialization, bullying is relational, which is based on inclusion or exclusion. There's attack on the person, the reputation, and relationships. Second thing is to manage the intervention to empower rather than to inadvertently disempower a vulnerable child. The message is you can or cannot protect or care for yourself. The experience of the child is I will facilitate or practice, no or not practice protecting myself. Children need to practice taking care of themselves. Third, it's also important to manage discipline with a challenging child, but to do so in a way that doesn't inadvertently facilitate bullying behavior. There are lots of problems for someone who becomes a bully. They have negative effects on others, on self, on learning, on friendships, on work and intimacy, income and mental health. Causes for bullying is sometimes they coerce. Parents are coercive in the parenting. The parents don't respond, they're non-contingent. There's relational aggression. The characteristics include a hostile attributional bias or paranoia. They perceive provocation when there isn't any. Bullies focus on short-term outcomes that result in long-term failures. There's often a downward life spiral. There's also the reactive bully, who's both a bully and a victim, and they have the negative consequences of both. It's important to also assert an anti-bullying culture in schools and other communities. Bullying or being victimized does not ordinarily happen in isolation. The school, the family, or other community models facilitates, supports, intervenes according to the cultural standards that tolerate, encourage, and or denies bullying. Or the community, the culture, can be actively anti-bullying. The culture of the school or the family needs to change along with individual support and intervention. If you think you would benefit from speaking to a licensed therapist, please visit www.counselingcalifornia.com for helpful resources and information and articles. CounselingCalifornia.com is America's lifeline to more than 8,000 licensed marriage and family therapists, as well as other mental health professionals who can help you or someone you love manage life's challenges. With its listing of more than 8,000 licensed mental health professionals, CounselingCalifornia.com can be a powerful online tool at one's fingertips.